Hello, this online lecture will run you through Assessment 4 Materiality, and I'll be talking about the material palette component of the project. What we'd like to see are your proposed materials in the context of the site and the user. So essentially we're asking you to do 3 material palettes. One, as you can see here, which is the site. And that's all very similar to the exercise that you did very early on in the semester. So you should be able to draw on your work from that. The second relates to the exercise that you did in week 2 or 3 of the semester. So we'd like to see the material palette of the user's apartment. We want to see what kind of space are the current users living in. And then we'd like to see the material palette of your proposal in response to the site and the user. This really relates back to the fact that we're teaching you to design with a real sensitivity to place and to human experience and user. So for the material palette relating to the site, we'd like you to show key or significant materials on the existing site. You might also start to show details, so patterns that you found, key junctions which kind of communicate how one material might relate to another. Same thing for the user. So we want you to go through those studies that you did and maybe watch the movie again and say, okay, so what are the key materials that are playing out in their current apartment? These might be materials that are on the walls or the floors or the ceilings. They also might be colors, textures, patterns that you pick up in the objects. It might draw on, a magnet on the fridge. It might draw on the teapots. It might draw on the colors of the books in their bookshelves. It might draw on the linen of their bed or the cushion covers on their sofa. So again, this can be about materials as well as about the details and how materials start to come together. And then what we want you to do is say, well, this is how my proposal responds to those 2 facets of the project. And again, that could be about materials that are on the ceiling, on the floor, on the walls, on major elements, or on the edge of a kitchen bench or the threshold of a doorway. We can think macro as well as micro. We're really encouraging you to be playful and risky with materials. Yes, I know that timber and concrete and glass are very familiar, but now is the time to kind of break away from that and to have a bit of fun. You've got clients who are very experimental in the way that they live and the art that they create in their lifestyle. So it could be a chance to start to bring some of that into your material palette. It might also be a way of giving life to some of your forms. So if you have quite conservative planning, it could be that you have this amazing playful material overlay that gives a whole nother tone to your spatial proposal. This is a big area within interior architecture, and so it's great to kind of test the boundaries with this while you're in university as a way of building up your portfolio for when you graduate. This image here is Matthew Barney, and he has created amazing artworks and films that really test the boundaries of material composition and combinations. Look beyond Pinterest, look beyond interiors. You can look at fashion, look at the expressions of materials in nature, look at the expression of materials in streetscapes, look at the way that service ducts connect to each other. The boundaries are kind of endless. And also look back in history. We often do really similar things in terms of ornate, over-the-top embellishments of materials that were done in history. It's just that the stylistic expression or the fashion is different. Look beyond, I guess, what is fashionable and think really in detail about the site and about your user and have some fun with it. Whatever you're going to do, commit to it and do it with strength. Okay, so you can be really refined in your materials. It could be about subtle differences between shades of white and textures of walls and floors, like the image on the left here. But you do that with strength and with gusto, and you understand all of those intricacies. Or you're really loud and you kind of go pour your, which is the image on the right here. You go color and you go reflectivity and you go over the top. In the same way that Baroque interiors played out. So whatever you're going to do, I think do it with strength. But stay in control. Remember who your users are. Remember what your program is. Remember that there's objects in the space. Remember that there are functional requirements and there are aesthetic impacts to your decisions. Remember that not everything has to be timber, glass and concrete. We actually have this whole world of soft furnishings that can start to create a space, can start to define a ceiling, can start to define furniture, can start to interact with light, can layer an interior or an exterior space. So don't be afraid of going soft.